behind here.
I'm looking at two rooms.
Are we all situated there? Okay. Let me start off by saying good morning to everyone. Good. And I want to thank you all for being here. In fact, I want to thank all of those who are standing with me this morning. One of the top issues when I took office was none other than potholes. And as you know, we have done quite a job of filling those potholes all across the city. And I want to give special thanks to the City of Houston employees. And just as we fill the potholes in our streets, we have to fill the potholes in the lives of Houstonians who are suffering. The homeless are more than just nameless faces on our streets. They are our mothers, our fathers, and in some cases, our children. Homelessness is a top priority for this administration because it is a top priority for Houstonians throughout the city of Houston. That being said, a transformative shift has occurred in the way that we as a community respond to homelessness. First, we shifted from managing homelessness to solving it by focusing on the permanent solution of housing. It is pretty simple. If you are homeless, you are literally without a home. Thus, it should be no surprise that housing is the clear solution to homelessness. Second, the agencies that work with the homeless have shifted from operating in silos to working together as a collaborative system, embracing shared goals and strategies while combining their resources and efforts to maximize their impact. Today, over 100 organizations are now collaborating together through the Way Home, our regional comprehensive homeless response system. Everything the Way Home does is geared towards one purpose: transitioning the homeless off our streets and into supportive housing. Besides housing homeless veterans and families with children, we are strategically focused on housing our most vulnerable homeless individuals, the chronically homeless who have lived on our streets for at least a year and suffer from a disabling condition. Although historically, the chronically homeless only accounted for 30% of Houston's homeless population, they consume 75% of the available resources, costing Houston taxpayers an estimated $103 million a year in public resources, including shelter resources, police and EMS responses, and jail and emergency room costs. But by housing the chronically homeless, we can literally transform lives while annually saving over $28,000 for each and every chronically homeless individual transition into permanent supportive housing. That adds up to real savings, potentially $70.6 million a year. In fact, it is actually less expensive to house the chronically homeless with supportive services than it is merely to walk by them on the streets of the city of Houston. Housing our chronically homeless is more than just a plan or an admiration. It is already being done on a daily basis. In just 4.5 years, our partners in the Way Home have housed more than 7,500 homeless individuals, of which 3,360 were chronically homeless. More impressively, nearly 90% of them are still housed a year later, and that is impressive. I want to be frank. Our goal is to virtually end chronic homelessness in the city of Houston. So it doesn't matter how great our numbers are. As long as there are chronically homeless to be housed, we still have work to do. Back in 2012, we determined that we needed to create 2,500 units of housing to end chronic homelessness in Houston. Although the city, county, state, and federal governments are providing a majority of funds to create these units, a small gap of $15 million remains preventing us from accomplishing our goal in this city. To fill this gap, the mayor's leadership team on homelessness has been hard at work building the necessary public and private partnerships that will take Houston to become the first city in the nation to effectively end chronic homelessness. One of our vital partners is JPMorgan Chase. JPMorgan Chase. And at this time, I would like to introduce CAROLYN Watson, Vice President of Philanthropy at JPMorgan Chase. There you are.
Thank you, Mayor Turner. At JPMorgan Chase, we believe we have a responsibility to help the communities where we work address their social and economic challenges. Every year, the JPMorgan Chase Foundation awards over $200 million to nonprofits around the globe. These nonprofits are revitalizing neighborhoods, equipping people to secure better jobs, and helping them build financial assets for the future. Homelessness has been one of Houston's greatest social challenges. Thanks to the leadership of the city, the county, the Coalition for the Homeless, and the Corporation for Supportive Housing, and many other service providers through the Way Home, that is changing, and we're seeing results. Results such as a 57% decrease in overall homelessness over the past 5 years. The Way Home's Capital Gap Fund pools private money from foundations, corporations, and individual philanthropists to rapidly fill development capital gaps for supportive housing projects. To help reach our city's goal of creating 2,500 permanent supportive housing units, JPMorgan Chase is pleased to announce a $1 million grant for the Way Home's Capital Gap Fund. The Way Home is an example of Houston at its best. The Way Home is an example of Houston at its best. Leaders of the nonprofits, the city, the county, the private sector coming together of one accord to solve homelessness. We're making this grant because we're committed to assisting those who fall into homelessness so that they have a path back to safe, affordable housing as quickly and compassionately as possible. We are honored to participate in this partnership, which will create quality, affordable housing for Houstonians in need. On behalf of JPMorgan Chase, I am pleased to present this $1 million check.
I'm going to hold on to it.
We know where you can cash it.
Look, give him a hand one more time, okay? Look, and I'm pleased to accept, and let me accept on behalf of all of those who remain chronic homeless in the city of Houston. There is no question that there is a tremendous need all over our city. There are people you drive through that are in a chronic state, and the answer is not just gelling folk. The answer is meeting their needs and putting them into housing. And if we do that, we literally can reclaim souls within our city. I want to also acknowledge, and let Councilman Jack Christie hold this, and don't go too far. I certainly want to acknowledge Councilmember Jack Christie and Councilmember Dwight Borkin for standing with me. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot say enough about JPMorgan Chase. They have been and continue to be a tremendous partner in the city of Houston. This is the first corporate investment in the Permanent Supportive Housing Capital Gap Fund, and it will go a long, long way in our efforts to change lives and end chronic homelessness. In fact, let me tell you about one of those lives impacted by the housing you are investing in today. Jay is a veteran, an Army man for 8 years, who served 3 tours, 1 in Europe and 2 in Korea. After being honorably discharged, Jay worked hard for 26 years, but in the blink of an eye, his world would be turned literally upside down. And all it took was an illness a chronic health condition, and Jay lost his job. The spiral continued, leading Jay to battle bouts of depression and even suicidal thoughts. The compounding impact of Jay's distress led him to the streets, where he remained for 5 years, tirelessly cycling between shelters and the streets, living under 59 at Chartres. Jay was chronically homeless, and life was void of hope. However, a chance encounter with a dedicated team of outreach professionals and case managers changed his life. From CSH and the VA to Compass and U.S. Vets, these partners of the way home were persistent and would not allow Jay to give up on himself. They would not give up on him, and we refused to allow him to give up on himself. Last September, Jay was moved into a permanent supportive housing unit, a place of his own, a home. It has been a year since Jay was housed, and those days on the streets are now a vivid but distant memory. Jay is still housed, collecting his well-earned pension benefits, and is planning the next chapter of his cherished life. In fact, Jay is here with us today. Please help me to welcome a hero to all of us, Jay.
Appreciate your service, Jay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Turner, and all the Way Home partners. I wish I could stand up here and elaborate on all the people that are responsible for getting me here. Houston's truly an amazing city. And I was blessed by the fact when I became homeless, I ended up right here. I'd like to send out a special thank you to JPMorgan for their grant in helping the homeless, which is desperately needed, because we all know it's a chronic problem out there. I know. I was there. In my humble opinion, Houston sets the gold standard for dealing with the homeless in this great nation of ours. And it is I that needs to pay respect to all those who help the homeless. Thank you.
I want to thank Jay. I want to thank Jay for his service. I want to thank Jay for not giving up. And I want to thank all of the partners for helping to transform and reclaim a person like Jay. And every time we travel the streets of the city of Houston, let's remember that there are a lot of other Jays that are out there. And with your help, we can literally help to transform their lives. It's not about just griping about it. It's about doing something about it and giving people that chance to fulfill all the potential that they have within them. And so again, I want to thank JPMorgan Chase for stepping up to the plate in a real way. These are the dividends that come back to you over and over and over again. And that is literally what this city is all about. At this time, I would like to introduce the president and CEO of Central Houston, Inc., and a member of my leadership team on homelessness, none other than Bob Bury.
Thank you, Mayor. And Jay, let me thank you for your presence here. You really just honor us with your presence here. Central Houston's really passionate about being a part of this effort to close the gap so that we can end chronic homelessness in Houston. I want to acknowledge our friends from JPMorgan again, just because their gift and that generosity is what's going to take to get there. When the Way Home initiative started, we determined that Houston needed about 400 units of permanent supportive housing to house our chronically homeless and to end chronic homelessness. We have already assembled at that time about 1,500 units that could be used, so that made our goal 2,500 units for our initiative here to end homelessness. Today, we have 2,237 units either operating or in the development pipeline. There's 56 more in the pipeline that are pending financial approval, and it leaves 207 to still be created. Remarkably, the Way Home Coalition, this wonderful group of everybody working together, has figured out a way to come up with funds, primarily public, to operate all 4,000 units. They've secured funds to connect ongoing permanent services to these units and to people who are in the units. And they've also come up with the capital, some $240 million to reach what it will require to do the 2,500 of $255 million of capital to have these 2,500 units. All that remains at this point is a $15 million capital gap, and we're pleased to be part of the effort to assist trying to close that gap. And I want to acknowledge here Way Home leadership team members, Reverend Rudy Rasmus and our friend Ann Stern from the Houston Endowment, who've been helpful along with us here in pulling this all together. Our goal with this permanent our supportive housing capital gap fund is really this. We want to have just-in-time funding. The whole idea is how can we accelerate? How can we bring it down to closing the gap and ending chronic homelessness? And so our thought on this is really creating an effort where we have funds pooled and managed. And what we've been able to do that is, I think, put together a team to do this. It works very professionally. What it does is it brings together just a diverse array of investors or funders or philanthropists. But the beauty of it is we're focused on a single goal, and that is ending chronic homelessness. It also, there's wonderful leverage. You can tell from the numbers I gave you here. You talk about big money here, and so $15 million is a small gap to close here as we do this. And so the beautiful thing here is that we're all working together in a very collective impact approach in terms of addressing homelessness in our community. And then lastly, we have a third party, the Corporation for Supportive Housing, that is actually managing this fund. And then what we have there is really robust experience and technical assistance so that we really have quality underwriting of the remaining projects as we close that gap and we build all those and locate all those 2,500 units. And so from a donor perspective, you have tremendous assurance that you have quality in how all this is managed as we go forward. So I'm very excited here that we have our partner here from the Corporation for Supportive Housing this morning. Let me introduce to you KATRINA van VALKENBURGH, who's the managing director for the Central Region for the Corporation for Supportive Housing. So KATRINA, come up here and join us.
Great. Thank you so much. We're so honored and proud to be represented here today. We want to extend our thanks to Mayor Turner, to JPMorgan Chase, to all the Way Home partners and the Coalition for the Homeless, and most especially the caring and committed residents of Houston. Because of each and every one of you, ending homelessness in this community is more than a slogan, it's a reality. CSH is a national nonprofit, and we work directly in 40 states and nearly 300 communities, including Houston. And we work to create affordable housing that provides access to the health care, the training, and the key life services that keep people housed and healthy. Because we're in every region, I can tell you that the Way Home's efforts are nationally recognized and that the city is leading the nation in reducing homelessness. At the crux of everything we do is partnership. And there's no better examples of just how far successful collaborations can move the ball forward than in Houston. Very simply, every day we tell policymakers and advocates across the country that the strong partnerships in Houston are making the difference and are making it happen right now. The leaders of the city and the Way Home have made it a priority to ensure that every service provider, governmental agency, and resources are on the same page and moving forward together. We're honored to be part of this collaborative and to help oversee Houston's Permanent Supportive Housing Capital Fund. A bold corporate partner, JPMorgan Chase, has stepped up in a big way and is now an integral member of the partnership, and another reason why we can point to Houston as a national model. The investment from JPMorgan Chase makes them not only a leader in Houston, but in Texas and also across the country. It is our hope that other caring corporate citizens will follow the leadership of JPMorgan Chase and join the efforts in Houston to end the suffering of thousands who lack a place to call home and opportunities to better their lives. Earlier I said I was proud to be here, and that's true. But what makes us even prouder is what the collaborative partnerships in Houston are accomplishing and how together you're raising the bar for the entire country. We're delighted for your successes, and even more so that the City of Houston, the Way Home, the Coalition for the Homeless, JPMorgan Chase, and the people of Houston welcomed us into your community partnership. Thank you, Mayor Turner, for your support and leadership.
Thank you very much. JPMorgan Chase support is more than just a grant. It's more than just about getting the homeless off our streets. It's an investment in solving homelessness and changing the lives of homeless Houstonians. With JPMorgan Chase grant today of $1 million, we have privately raised $7 million. We are now nearly halfway to our goal of the $15 million needed to house our chronic homeless population. Homelessness affects every community in this city, and I have not yet met a Houstonian who doesn't want to transition the homeless off the streets. But the city cannot do it alone. The Way Home cannot do it alone. It will take everyone committing resources and working together to get the job done. If you believe in a person like Jay, recognizing his service and the fact that he too deserved a home, then I'm asking Houstonians to step up to the plate and make the investment that will return dividends over and over again. The Houston region is on track to end chronic homelessness, but we need the community support to cross the finish line. Therefore, I challenge other corporations, large and small, across our city, state, and nation to follow JPMorgan Chase's lead and invest in the Way Home to help Houston become the first city in the nation to effectively end chronic homelessness. This is an opportunity to be a part of something very, very special and personal. For this is Houston at its best, private and public partnerships working with the community to transform lives and accomplish what has never been done before. I encourage our corporate and philanthropic community to explore investment opportunities by contacting CSH or the lead agency for the Way Home, the Coalition for the Homeless. The public can access more information and contribute at www.thewayhomehouston.org. And I want to thank again JPMorgan Chase for all you are doing and for the contribution that you have made. And let me just say in closing, it's not enough to fill potholes in the street if we don't take the opportunity to fill potholes in people's lives. And we can do that in this city. We can and we must. It's not enough to complain about homelessness and people that we see on our streets under the bridges and want them out of our neighborhoods and in our areas if we're not prepared to provide them housing when they need it. It's not enough to complain and talk about the city and what you see and what you don't see if we're not willing to make the investment to improve people's lives in our city. We can go to the moon, we can even travel to Mars, but if we can't take care of those who are traveling right here in this city, we still have missed the mark. And any great city will not be defined by its tall buildings, but a great city will be defined by human beings walking or driving on our streets who are literally being transformed day by day, week by week, year by year. And this is the situation that we can all participate in and all make a huge difference in the lives of people in this city. I'm proud to be a part of it, but I am hoping between now and next year, the $8 million that we need will come in. And let's make this city the Super Bowl of ending homelessness in our country, and we can do it right now. And I'm asking corporations and businesses and individuals to make that happen in this city, and let's do it right now. Thank you so all for participating and being a part. And we've introduced some. Gina Luna is here with JPMorgan Chase and Central Houston board member. Gina, it's good to see you. Marilyn Brown from Coalition for the Homeless. Pastor Rudy Rasmus, someone I've known for many, many years of Timanus, and member of the mayor's leadership team. Ann Stern from the Houston Endowment and chair of the Mayor's Leadership Team on Homelessness. And I've already introduced the council members as well. Are there any questions for any of these individuals before we break up? Okay. Thank you so very much, and I'm sure they're available for individuals interviews. Thank you.
I'm going to put this in Chase bank account where